I want to thank our host for having us this afternoon. It's a beautiful event and a lot of good food, and it was a good time, so thank you. Appreciate that. Had to come straight here from work, so the best I could do to clean up was change shirts. My wife met me here and brought that, so I appreciate your patience in my appearance. Chatham County is a wonderful place, and people here love it, and people want to move here because of what it is. And that's a good thing. We're inviting, and we're welcoming, and we're open arms, and all that's a good thing. Unfortunately, with that comes a lot of change sometimes, and you're not going to stop a lot of these changes. One of the things that the previous board did when we came in is we realized that there had to be growth. There's really no such thing as status quo. The way it's always been is not the way it's always going to be. It's going to change. And so some of the things that we looked at, we felt like we needed to just try to manage it rather than stop it. And unfortunately, the current board that we have wants to try to stop everything, and that includes jobs. Now, that's not what they will say. You'll hear them publicly and openly say, we need more jobs, we need more jobs. But in the back rooms, when they start talking about ordinances and changes and things we need to do, there are so many roadblocks that are being developed to stop industry and stop business. So now we find ourselves trying to fix affordable housing. We try to fix all these other issues that are true issues that need attention. My argument has been with the current board is if we want to fix these problems, the best way to fix them is give people a job, a good paying job, an opportunity to go to work. And again, on the surface, they'll say that. You'll hear them say that, but then when you look at what they're doing, their actions don't show the same, doesn't send the same message. And we've got an opportunity here in Chatham County with the 2 mega sites and some of the industry that's looking at Chatham County right now. We've got an opportunity to provide a lot of good jobs for the citizens of Chatham County. We've got an opportunity for parents of kids that are growing up here to have an opportunity to stay in Chatham County. And that's not been the case in the past. They've had to leave home to get a job. And we've got some industry opportunities that need to come to Chatham County. And I can assure you, if Brian and I and Neil get elected, that's one of the things we'll do. We'll try to remove the roadblocks that are being put in place to get industry here. Now, not at the expense of environment, but that's what you hear our opponents say. In fact, if you listen to them, we don't want to fund education. We don't really like kids. We want to pollute the environment. And whatever else you can think of is bad. But that's not the case. Look at our track record. Look at their track record. Don't look at what's said. Look at the performance of the commissioners. County is the closest government to your daily life. Now, you're affected certainly by state issues and federal issues, but the county affects your life every day. Taxes you pay, your water, your law enforcement, your education, job opportunities, and a lot of that responsibility lies within the hands of the county commissioners. And I have worked with Brian before, and I've known Neil for a very long time. These guys have a heart for Chatham County. They have a heart for doing what's right. They do not have a political agenda. None of us really wanted to, we never had a drive or desire to be elected in the political position. But we love Chatham County, and we want to do what's right. And we saw an opportunity to help. And so we got involved. And I'd like to get these guys on board with me. I'm running unopposed this year. So we really need to focus on getting these guys elected so we can get the board majority back again and start doing some things that are good for Chatham County. Let me think here. Like I said, I came straight from another job, so wasn't really prepared for everything. But pardon me. Thank you. But again, I just know these guys' heart. I know what they want to do. I know that they want to do what's right for Chatham County, what's good for Chatham County, and it's not at the risk of our environment. It's not at the risk of our law enforcement. It's not at the risk of education. I think that what we got to do is we got to have balance, and that balance includes bringing industry here, educating our kids. By the way, those industries that are coming that we need, that's the things, that's what we need to fund all these things that we have to do as a county. You know, 91% of our revenue comes from individual taxpayers. We need some of that burden shared with the industry. That tax burden needs to come off the backs of the individual citizens in Chatham County. And the Mount Air project that's coming in Siler City is going to bring millions of dollars into Chatham County for us to help fund the things we need to do. It'll be many jobs for people. Unfortunately, they're kind of getting misrepresented because of having to expand and needing more area, and they're getting a bad rap for the mobile home park that they just purchased, and that's so they could expand their facility. But that'll provide, you know, jobs, and they're offered to help these people move, and they're trying to do the right thing. But when there comes change, there's things like that will happen, and we just have to manage it and find a way to work around it and to work with it. And they've been a very good corporate citizen, and they've done a lot of good things for Siler City. Siler City needs those jobs. Siler City needs the revenue from the water. They lost a lot of their water customers when Townsend went out, and that again is things they need to fund the things in the town. So jobs are important, and industry is important, and our EDC is working really hard. We've got a lot of projects that are on the table right now. They're not at liberty to talk about all of them, but there's a lot of good things happening in Chatham County, and we can have growth, and we can manage it, and we can do a good job with it, and we can provide jobs for people and opportunity for people to excel. And we've got some things working with the schools for skills programs. And a lot of things, quite honestly, that you see happening today are things that where the groundwork was laid from 2010 to 2014. It just has taken that long to come about. And so I just really wished we'd had 4 more years to see it through, because it's been slowed down a little bit. A lot of the things that we put in place are starting to be one at a time. They're starting to tear them apart and take them down and undo a lot of what we had done. So please get involved and pay attention to what's going on, and get to know the candidates, get to know the issues. Don't just depend on what you hear in the circles that chat list in the newspaper, and the things that get in print. All the details never make it. Never make it in print, and they're never communicated on these bulletin boards and all the other forms of communication. Get to know these candidates, get to know their hearts, get to know who they are, because they really want to do what's best for Chatham County. And I think that if we can get them on board, we can keep moving forward, and we can manage the growth that's coming, and it'll be a good thing for Chatham County. And I just appreciate your support over the last 4 years, last 8 years actually. The last 4 has been very, very lonesome. I could use a couple of friends on the board with me again. Not that the others aren't friends. Somebody will misrepresent that. So, you always have to qualify everything you say, because you know somebody's going to take something and do something with it. But there's been a few issues we've been able to work together on, but there are things that were stopped. Brian mentioned a moment ago the zoning issue. I have exceeded my 2 minutes, haven't I? Brian mentioned the zoning issue a moment ago. When the new current board first came to office, they thought the proposal that we had was a good idea initially. Someone, I don't know who, has some influence over that board and got to them. And all of a sudden, there was a 180-degree turn just like that. They changed their mind. They held a meeting, and they said, we're going to stop all the meetings. We're going to take another look at this. And then, of course, they want to appoint a committee to bring them recommendations. Well, what happens when you appoint a committee? You fill it up with people that give you the answers you want to hear. So they get these committees appointed, and they bring the answers which they're instructed to bring, and all of a sudden then, this is what we need to do. This is what the committee's told us. And so I guess what I'm asking you again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but get to know the candidates, get to know the issues, get to know the people that are representing you. Unfortunately, counties, got a question back here.
I have always wondered, what is it that the county commissioners are so adverse to industry coming in here? Why? Why are they?
I don't, well, she asked why our current board is so anti-business seeming. And I'm not sure that I can answer you any other way other than what I think, because there's no, well, they will say that industry will ruin the environment. Okay? They say that industry, anytime people think of industry as big smokestacks bellowing black smoke and destroying the environment, the world has changed. Industry is a different world today than it used to be. That's the image everyone has, but that's not the reality of it. So many of the jobs today are high-paying, high-tech jobs, especially that would be interested in coming to Chatham County. Even the chicken plant, a lot of that is high-tech stuff now, automated stuff. The work environment is much better than it's been in the past. They change these people out in shifts. The repetitive motion is not what the total workplace has changed from what it used to be. And everybody has the image of that old industry when they think of industry. That's one thing. I think the other thing is people are afraid of change. They want to see it stay like it is. But it can't stay like it is. Nothing stays like it is. People refer to the status quo thing all the time. Well, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. If you're falling behind, you're not status quo. You're losing position. We've got to train a workforce. We've got a great workforce in Chatham County, and most of the kids growing up, particularly in the rural side of the county, would love to stay in the county, and they're great candidates for skills training. And they would stay at home if they had an opportunity to work at home. But there's no place to use those skills. Now, with industry coming, we've got an opportunity to keep them at home and work here, and we're working with the community college on some skills training courses. So there's an opportunity for that now, and that's what I want to see happen. And I think most of us do. But I think change is the main thing. Environmental is one thing they'll always talk about. They'll always talk about water quantity, not just quality, but quantity. Afraid we're running out of water, and where are we going to get it? Because we've had some dry spells, some dry years in the past, and the lake gets really low, and that's always seems to be an issue. In most cases, it's not water quantity. It's we're limited by the ability, the capacity to produce it. It's not the lack of water, it's the lack of ability to produce enough because of the growth. So we need that infrastructure to grow. And again, with industry, that would help cover that infrastructure cost. We're going to have to build a water plant, and we're going to do a joint plant with a couple neighbors. And just our portion, just Chatham County's portion of that plant is going to exceed $100 million. But things like that are so expensive today to do that you about have to do them jointly. But the water's there. Siler City's got sewer capacity. Everybody talks about Siler City's water and their sewer, their ability to deal with wastewater, and that's the reason they don't own industry. But they've got capacity, but they might have to upgrade their systems a little bit. And there's water, especially since we lost Townsend several years ago. And we've got contracts in place with neighboring counties to buy water. So we're doing the right things to try to meet the needs for industry, but then we turn around and we put things in place that are roadblocks and slow them down. And industry, time is money. And if they can go to County A and be up and running in 6 months, County B is going to take them 36 months. They may miss their window of opportunity to produce a product that the market's ready for. They're going to County A, where they can get up and running quicker. So there's a way to do it right without sacrificing our air quality and our water quality and our capacity in our water plants There's a way to do it right. And I think we can do that. And I think Brian, Neal, and I will do that. But the current board uses those things as excuses to slow it down. Question?
What's going on with the two mega sites? I know one is ready and one is not quite ready. Do you feel like businesses are coming to the mega sites, or do you think that's something that you all can improve if you get these people elected? What's going on? Are they not coming? Are they put off by regulations?
Yeah, we have a few things that, and again, we don't always know what they are. EDC knows them. A lot of times these projects are given names code names because the companies don't always want people to know who they are when they're looking in an area. So there are companies that are looking at the area and at these mega sites. So I feel like we will eventually get someone. We've missed a couple of opportunities. Quite honestly, I think the state wasn't ready with incentive programs and things, which is another thing. Let me mention this, and I hate to get sidetracked, but people talk about the incentives that are given to industries to come here, and it's going to cost us $1 million to get a business here. What they don't understand, what a lot of times is not understood, the county and the state both, and town of Siler City, they're not giving money up front to these businesses to come. These are tax, I don't think you could call them rebates, tax, what's the right terminology? Credits, yeah. So actually the money that they get, or the credits they get, come from revenues they paid in. So we're not coming up with a lot of money to give these industries to come here. And the state's working on that very hard now. That was, I think, one of the problems early on with one of the first projects we had. We just wasn't ready on the state level. But industries want to know that they're welcome where they're coming. And I think that's been a problem. I think industries don't see a welcome mat at the door here in Chatham County right now. And I think we can do something to change that image, and that they're going to want to come here. I think we're going to have some opportunities, and I would like to have many opportunities so we can choose the type of industry we want. There's been a lot of money that's spent on these mega sites getting them ready, and we're in a good location geographically, where they're in proximity to the airports and interstates, and so we've got a good opportunity for some industry here. When we were looking at an automotive plant, just to give you some idea what kind of impact that is. When we were looking at an automotive plant a couple years ago, the ones we didn't get, they would bring something like $1 billion investment in facilities. Can you imagine what the tax revenue would be on $1 billion? Not to mention, we did an income study that showed that would bring about $1 million a day, $1 million a day additional revenue in the pockets of the workforce in Chatham County. Now, if you can imagine all the citizens of Chatham County walking around with an extra $1 million to split up between them, whoever's employed there, to spend at grocery store, automotive, recreation businesses, arts, music, entertainment. Can you imagine what that would do for the area if people had that kind of money to spend? And an automotive industry might mean 2,000 jobs, but the support industry multiplier is like 5 times that. So if we got an automotive industry that brought 2,000 jobs, it would equate to about 10,000 jobs because of additional businesses and industries that come up to support that. Maybe it's tires, maybe it's steel, maybe it's transmission. We've got a company that used to be here in Chatham County. It's not now, it's in a neighboring county, but they did a lot of drivetrain work for an automotive company, transmissions, things like that. They manufactured parts for automotive. Well, we have an opportunity for that again, for companies like that to to locate here and to manufacture parts that are used in the manufacturing process or the assembly process for automobiles. So industry is important. We're going to get some industry here eventually. I'd just like for it to be on our terms, and I'd like for it to be a place that's open and welcome enough that we have a flood of opportunities, so we can kind of choose the industries we want, the ones that would best suit Chatham County, and not just have to take what comes our way. So yeah, we've got some agreements in place for water and sewer for both mega sites. They're well on the way. There's utility, engineering, and infrastructure engineering's already been done for Siler City. The infrastructure does not have to be in place at the time for a company to look at it. The engineering just has to be done. And in fact, which brings up another point, we had some land in the business park in Siler City, and it wasn't being sold. Nothing was happening. We had a buyer that wanted to come and buy it to put it in land preservation. Thought, well, it was close to the lake, close to the river. He took all the areas that were most susceptible to environmental concerns. He bought those, put it in land preservation. We agreed, this was back when Brian and Pam and I were on the board, we agreed to take that money and reinvest it in economic development. And we got a little pushback on that. But that is what paid for the engineering to get water and sewer to the mega site in Siler City. So there's the kind of things that your county commissioners can have an impact on. It's how that money's used, what it's used for, being good stewards of the money. You know, we're about to borrow $100 million for 3 schools. And you want a good steward looking after that money, because you want to make sure it's spent wisely and used in the right place and goes as far as you can make it go. And that's one thing I think you'd find that this current candidate group would do for you. We would be good stewards of that money and make sure it's properly used, get as much for it as we can. We're over budget on one of the schools, or 2 of the schools, by about $8 million. I can identify about $4 million of that. The other commissioners won't budge. So that's the kind of thing that you need like-minded thinking to get things accomplished. And I know that Brian and Neil and I think enough alike that we could keep things moving forward and get things done that we need to do as economically as possible, create an environment for business and industry, educated kids, fund law enforcement, all those things that need to be done. We can do it. We've proved it. We did it. We did it 4 years ago, or 10 to 14, and it works. Unfortunately, in 14, the candidates at that time wanted to bring national issues down on the county level, and really it was things that didn't have anything to do with Chatham County, but people were sensitive to the state. They knew what was going on. They were sensitive to federal issues. They knew what was going on, and so they knew that if they could bring those issues down on the county level, it would invigorate and fire up their voter base, and it worked. And they turned out, and we got beat. So, but things are changing, and it's a different year. It's another opportunity, and one of my favorite sayings that Brian just loves, as my granddaddy says, sun don't shine on the same dog's hind end all the time. So 2018 is the year. November is the month, and we're going to have another vote, and hopefully we can get the voter base out. You guys, what we need to do, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of boots on the ground. It's going to take people like you communicating with the people you know, asking them to get involved, and educating them on what the issues are. And we can win this thing. We didn't lose, but by 400 votes? 1,200 votes. 1,200 votes.
Those are Democrats. They vote early and often.
Yeah. Last time around. And we can make that up. But there were 2,000 registered voters that we know based on how they're registered, and
Registered Republicans.
they're registered Republicans. So let's just call it what it is. 2,000 registered Republicans did not vote in 2014, which would have been enough to win.
They voted in 12 and they voted in 18,
Yeah.
or 16,
16.
but they didn't vote in 14. So just those people alone would have been enough to win the race.
So we just, and I get so tired of hearing people say, my vote doesn't count, my vote doesn't count. It does count. If enough people say my vote doesn't count, it won't count. So we just we've got to encourage people to get out and vote and let them know how important their vote is, and then make them aware of what the issues are and who the candidates are so that they're well informed.